It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and young guns Billy Derrick and Michael Cindric. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is kind of a cloudy, overcast Wednesday in Nashville, Tennessee, but don't let that bother you because we've got some great sports talk to get to over the next hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. Let's call roll very quickly. Head up to the plateau and say hello to Coach Watson Brown. Watson, how are you?
George, I'm doing good. You look good in your Auburn, Florida orange. I don't know which one it is, but it's one of the two.
How about in this case, Belmont red? There it is.
Is that red?
Well,
on my screen it looks orange. We'll have
orange.
to work on my color a little bit, I guess.
Okay. Well, it's not a pressing issue.
Well, might be to me. I want the colors to look right.
So is your shirt
is my blonde hair coming through okay?
It's beautiful. I'm just curious, is that a University of Oregon shirt?
This is a Oakley shirt, but it is kind of the Oregon yellow.
Yeah.
It's the zero is Oakley, not Oregon, though.
So you know what's going on. After we left the air yesterday, the Titans hired a general manager, Ran Carthan. Turns out that he has some Jeff Fisher background, and Jeff will join us tomorrow on the show to talk about it.
Good, because I hadn't been able to put him with anybody, his background with anybody. So that's great.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
Billy, how are you?
George, I am great. I'm ready. I'm looking forward to Jeff tomorrow.
Yeah, he'll be good.
Longtime friend of yours.
Yes, he'll be good. Did you go to the Vandy, Alabama game?
I did, George. I went to the game. Brandon Miller is phenomenal. I mean, he's a pro right now.
30-10.
He dominated the game.
By the way, did you see the stat line on Sheboy last night?
What was it?
37 points, 24 rebounds.
He's back.
Sure looks like it.
Kentucky needs that.
And then finally, we have, as we work around a different studio, we have sentenced Michael Cindric to the little boy table.
I'm completely at the timeout corner right now. This is where you go when you're young and your mother gets frustrated at you and sends you to the corner. That's exactly where I'm at, but we're going to make the most of it.
Right, but normally don't they just like take your nose and put it up against the wall?
Well, my dad used to hold me by my ankles and, dip my head in the toilet and flush it. That was what I got. So I'm at the timeout corner today.
So that's Watson, how they operate in Texas, apparently.
Ooh, I wouldn't want to eat lunch with him after that happened.
No, I don't know how that would work these days.
That wouldn't go well.
No.
Dad didn't mess around.
Why?
He didn't play again. He knew he had to straighten me out. And, he wasn't going to do it to my sister, so he was going to do it to me.
I wish it had worked.
Yeah.
So are you comfortable over there?
We're getting adjusted. We're getting acclimated.
Right.
Trying to figure out which way to look. And so we're just going to keep it dead ahead. I get to look at Billy. I get a straight shot at Billy all day.
I would say look at the camera.
Yeah, that's smart.
Okay. So, Billy, now that we've got all that squared away, do we have an update?
We sure do have an update.
Boy,
George.
I'm excited.
I know you are. We've got a lot to get into today. Of course, you had some college hoops last night. Tennessee defeated Mississippi State in Starkville 70-59 without Vescovy and Key, two of their better players. Zakai Ziegler had 24. And then, of course, Alabama defeated Vandy 78-66. Miller had 30. Vandy, they couldn't hit the backside of a barn. They shot 30% from the field, 18% from three. So that's what happened last night. Vandy will play at Georgia on Saturday, and Tennessee will play at LSU.
How many Alabama fans do you think were there?
There was a lot. There was a lot of Razorback fans.
Are we saying
I would say
4,000?
4 to 5,000. I mean,
really?
Yeah, they had their whole section behind their bench, and they were kind of spread across the gym, so they traveled well.
Yeah.
And I talked to a few of them.
Now it's a basketball school.
Yeah, I talked to a few of them before the game, and most of them live in Nashville. Yeah. So there's Bama fans everywhere.
When Bama sucked, you never saw any of these people.
No.
They're coming out of the woodwork now. Wouldn't it be nuts if to say in a year that Alabama basketball, there's so much that has to happen, but Bama basketball won the national title or even went to the national title and the football team didn't? That'd be I wouldn't believe it.
Watson, it would still be behind spring football practice, though, wouldn't it?
Behind everything. I mean, I've lived in that state for a whole lot of years at 2 different schools, and 12 of them at UAB. And I'm telling you, not the first story in sports, the first story on all the news stations in the state, Alabama football. And the second story probably was Auburn football when it was good. I've never been in a state like that one. Now, the reason it is, though, George, is they don't have any professional sports. So it's a college state, not a college town, but a college state.
Right.
And they love the Crimson Tide, man. When I was in this state, we all big orange, big orange, big orange. Ain't nothing like it is in Alabama.
So the only time UAB got the lead story was when they put the football program under.
That's probably true. Thank goodness I wasn't there when that happened.
Yeah.
But I had to fight it for 5 years to keep it alive.
Oh, gosh.
But you're probably right. I always, with Feinbaum in town in those days, I always really pull for Alabama and Auburn to lose, because if they both won, it didn't matter if UAB won or not. Feinbaum's coming after UAB that day. Because he had nothing to get on Alabama and Auburn about. So we were the stepchild at that point. So I pulled hard against Alabama and Auburn. People didn't understand why, but I did.
I believe it.
You
Billy,
know what I mean by those
I know exactly what you mean. Billy, what else we got?
Georgia, the Preds won last night, stringing a couple wins together, 2-1 victory over the Blue Jackets. Kevin Lankinen was in goal, 39 saves.
He was really good.
Yeah, he was really good. And the Preds, they'll play in St. Louis tomorrow night, a huge game.
It was not the biggest crowd I've seen in a while, and I wonder how many of their fans were stuck on I-65 that basically wasn't moving at all.
There was a fatal wreck.
Yeah,
that affected the Vandy game too, late arriving crowd there. So we'll see what the Preds do tomorrow night, get into that with Gee. George, there's a little update on Damar Hamlin. Bill's safety on his road to recovery. He's begun spending more time at the team's facility. Coach McDermott said that there was almost daily. He's there. He's visiting, and yesterday and today. He hasn't been participating in team meetings, but it's just kind of getting himself, dipping his toe back in there and getting on the road to just getting back to being himself, McDermott said. So obviously it's amazing the speed at which he's been able to recover.
Watson, I'm going to throw one out there that right now is not important. So why am I getting into it? Do you think he will ever be released to play football again?
Gosh, George, I'd hate to comment on that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We haven't seen anything like this before. What was the young man that died on the floor in California? The basketball player.
Not
come on.
Kimball. Hank Gathers. Mo Kimball was his teammate.
And it was basically something of the same type of deal. Yeah. And we just haven't seen people come back from this. I had a doctor tell me the next morning after Hamlin went down, a close friend of mine in Alabama that is in these type fields, and he said, most of the time you don't live through this. So it scared me to death when he said that. He said, This is very serious, and most of the time, unless they get you quick enough, he said it's lucky he was a professional football player with all the people they have there. And he's the one that told me every city for that ball game has people on call for an NFL game. Wow. They have that type of hospital in every city they go to, and there's staff on call just for the game. So that really impressed me when I heard that about the NFL.
I would have loved to be a fly on the wall in that. I don't know if it was the hospital room, wherever, when DeMar became aware enough to realize, all that had gone on from the hit to when he woke up. Man, that had to be a crazy moment, because in his eyes, I mean, he got hit and probably woke up, 36 hours later. I don't even know when it was on the timeline, and he was in a hospital bed. But just even the outpouring of love and support, the money that was raised for that charity foundation. That's the part I would like to have been the fly on the wall to see. Yeah.
Are you aware that $8 million have been raised for your charity?
Yeah. I mean, that the whole country is talking about this, and so many people are pulling for him, and that just would have been a really cool moment to be a fly on the wall in that room.
No doubt. And George, let's move on to some interesting college news here in the past few days. Jaden Rashada, Florida quarterback recruit, apparently requested a release from his national letter of intent last night after his $13 million NIL deal fell through with the Gator Collective. His future had been in doubt since he failed to enroll at Florida last week, but it was contingent on a 4-year, $13 million NIL deal. And apparently the Gator Collective did not fall through with that. Well, it fell through. They didn't follow through with the deal. So I feel like you can expect a few more scenarios like this across the country.
This is so out of control.
Wild West. Man.
Watson, where is this going?
Nowhere. It's going nowhere. It's going straight to the far down as it can go. I just don't know how long you let it go before you fix it. Yeah. I don't understand it. One of these days we'll spend a show talking about it, because I've got some ideas and things about it, but I don't think it can go anywhere but down. Ain't no way it gets any better. It's just going to keep getting worse.
Yeah.
And there are, I know there's at least one freshman that's already making over $1 million in high school on an NIL deal through university. I don't know exactly which one or what, but this is crazy. It's absurd.
Completely out of control.
I mean, can I ask you guys this real quick? Do y'all think, college football is such a monster. NIL is a mess. Do you think that it begins to really affect viewership, or do you think it's just one of these things that it's a mess, but at the end of the day, everyone still on a Saturday in October watches college football?
No, it's not. They're going to show up. They show up for the NFL, and this is all this is. This is another form of NFL. It's better than the NFL because it's free agency every year. So these kids can make $2 million at this school and take off and make $3 million at the next one the next year. I mean, it's that you can't do that in the NFL. So no, viewership's not going to fall off. People coming to games are already falling off, in my personal opinion.
Before NIL,
I don't think that's because of the NIL or the transfer portal or anything. I think that's television.
Before NIL,
television's created that.
Everybody was clamoring for, we need to get these players paid. This is going to be so much better for the players. It doesn't feel like anybody's having fun. Coaches, this looks harder for the players.
Oh, I think the coaches are miserable. They have no idea.
Well, coaches are miserable, but the players are making millions. They're not miserable, but I'm telling you, they're the ones reaping the benefits of this, and more power to them. This isn't their fault. The players have nothing to do with this whatsoever. Nothing. This is the older people in our world that let this happen, and it's my generation that's let this happen, and I'm sorry to say I'm part of it. I sure ain't part of what's going down. I'm vehemently against the way this is going, but we'll see. But I don't see it getting better, guys. Not any shape, form, or fashion.
I got another dream.
What's your dream, babe?
Well, a college quarterback is going to hold a press conference. This will happen in the next 2 years, where he says, "Oh, I'm staying in school because I can't afford to go to the NFL and take a pay cut."
Did you see the amount of money? Honestly, it's already happening. This guy at Florida that backed out $13 million.
Yeah.
$13 million. You've never thrown a pass. You hadn't put the helmet on yet. You haven't done anything. He's a high school kid. Period. That's all. That's it. And I don't know.
I mean, gosh, let me ask you this. Why did I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to say for sure one way or the other, but why did Sheboy come back to Kentucky? I mean, he didn't have the perfect NBA body. And I'm not saying he wouldn't make more in the NBA, but I wonder if that played a factor.
Well, first of all, he needs another year to learn how to take his offensive skills out a little farther.
Right.
I mean, what he can do. I mean, he's a great player.
Yeah.
But what he does on the college level could get packed in his face in the NBA.
No doubt.
Yeah, he doesn't shoot past the key, really, guys. And these fours in the NBA now, George, Michael, Billy, the four players are shooting threes. It's a different world. It's a different world. I say the same thing about basketball. I say about football. The biggest jump is college to the pros. It's not high school to college. The biggest jump now is the college guy going to the NBA or the NFL. That's the biggest jump. And the one sport that's cut that back a little, and it's not as big a jump, is baseball. College baseball, a lot of these kids are staying for 2 years now, and it's a whole lot easier for them to jump in and go straight to Major League Baseball. I think when I was coming out, George, and going to be drafted very high in baseball, big difference then than it is now. These kids are trained so much better now than they were. I think that sport is the one that has the easiest transition as far as the talent jump.
Billy, anything else?
That's it, George.
Okay, let's get to it. Let's tell people what's coming. After the break, Terry McCormick's going to join us. We'll talk with him about the Titans general manager hire, Ran Carthan. I'll tell you this, his dad, Maurice Carthan, was a very good football player with the New York Giants. So there certainly is a football background. Then Mark McGee will join us at 3:00. We will talk about the Predators' 2-game winning streak as they sort of go like this, up and down and up and down. And they're a hard team to figure right now. Anyway, stay tuned. We've got plenty more coming.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is simple. I chose Hermitage Strike and Spare. They were amazing. Great food, great bowling, and a staff that's ready to go the extra mile. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5665.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Okay, we're back as we get the show on the road. We've got Titans news. Terry McCormick from Main Street Media joins us to talk about it. No hat today?
No hat today. I left it at home.
Really?
Because it's supposed to rain a little later on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Higher the temperature in January, more likely to get a little rain. Okay, Terry, when you saw all the names that were out there, if I had been able to ask you this, would you have thought that Ran Carthan would get this job?
I think he would have been close, and I think he would have been at or near the top of the list simply for the fact that the San Francisco 49ers have built the type of organization that other teams should want to imitate and emulate. I think when you look at the success that they've had over the last 4 or 5 years since John Lynch has gotten there and become the general manager and installed Kyle Shanahan as head coach, they've made a lot of great moves, both in the draft and free agency. So I can see why that the Titans would want to pluck someone from that organization as opposed to, taking somebody from the Browns or the Bears or, some of those teams that don't do a lot of winning.
Okay, let me try this one. Good picture, by the way, of Maurice Carthan, and I guess Billy, help me with that.
I know Ran is the Colts guy. I don't know if that's his dad or not. Terry, do you know?
No, that's not his dad. His dad's a player.
Yeah. No, we'd have a real scoop if that was the case.
When played for the New Jersey Generals when Herschel Walker was there.
Good piece of trivia. So, Terry, let me try it this way. Was this a deal where Amy, in your opinion, went to Vrabel and said, "Who do you want"?
I don't know if that played into it. I think, the committee led by Amy Adams Strunk, went through the interviews, and I think she kind of formulated her own opinions as to who she wanted. And certainly, I think they wanted someone that meshes with the philosophies and the thoughts of Mike Vrabel. I think it was too that, they think that, I guess it was a situation where the Titans were looking probably for a fresh perspective. They could have, done the status quo and hired Ryan Carthan, but they decided to go away from that and look for a fresh set of eyes and a fresh perspective.
Okay, I'm going to ask one again that you probably can't answer. If the strip sack with the fumble recovery for the touchdown had not happened, would this have played out differently? Would Ryan Carthan have gotten this job?
Wow, that's a decent question, one that I hadn't thought of, George. And I guess it's possible that Carthan would have gotten a longer look. But I think when you look beneath the surface, there are a lot of things on this football team that needed fixing. The offensive line, the wide receiver position, cornerback, just all the, the draft pick failures of the last couple of years. I think there were a lot of things that needed fixing. And I'm not sure that, a win over Jacksonville and what probably would have been a first round playoff exit would have changed the process a whole lot. How's that for an answer?
Yeah. So am I to assume that Carthan, having now been told by this organization, you're not it, does he leave?
Well, I don't know that he leaves, immediately because, obviously there's still work to be done with, the draft process, the free agency process. Usually movement in the front office world of the NFL comes after the draft. It'll come in May and in June and things like that. But, I don't know that Ryan Carthan will stay here long term. That's obviously his decision, or maybe, I guess the organization would probably still want him here because he was a GM candidate and a finalist. But whether he chooses to stay probably won't come until after the draft process is through, because that's usually when the turnover occurs in the front office and scouting world.
Watson, your witness.
Terry, to me, I think the next hire is going to give me the answer. But to me, this is the first sign that I've seen that we need help here. Let's go on the outside. Let's bring in some new blood. We're about it. We're about where we can take it right now. We need help. I think this offensive coordinator hire will either completely convince me of that or not. And I'm hearing the names Bieniemy and Nagy are on the list to interview. Don't know if it's true, but I've read that in quite a few articles. Kelly is most definitely on that list. And I forget the name of one of the assistants. I thought it said quarterback coach. That may not be right. With the Falcons is on the list. It sounds to me like two of those guys are more what we've been doing. And the Chiefs look is a total different animal than what has been on offense. What do you think about that thought process? Don't you think that's really going to give us a direction here on what goes down with that hire?
I really do. I think you're spot on there. What direction they go with this will probably tell you how much this organization needs to change and how much they feel like needs to be fixed. Whether it's going to be just retooling things, adding a couple of pieces here or there and running it back, or whether it's going to be more along the lines of everything is broken, let's fix it while we've got a new man in here as the new general manager and move forward that way. So to me, you're right. I think, most people thought that Tim Kelly was the odds-on favorite, and he might still be because he was already here on staff. But, I think, the ownership side, I think, made this decision to hire Ran Carthan with some input from Mike Vrabel. The offensive coordinator is going to be Mike Vrabel making his statement as to which direction this organization goes. And there might be some input from Ran Carthan and maybe some input from ownership, obviously, before this hire becomes final. I do think it's interesting that they're going and looking at people who have a background in the Kansas City Chiefs organization, because one of the areas that Mike Vrabel talked about that the Titans had to improve in terms of personnel was they had to get faster. And nobody knows more about speed than the Kansas City Chiefs and the way that they operate. So if they were to bring Bieniemy, which I'm not sure why he would want to do a lateral move, or Nagy, who is a quarterback's coach and could be, promoted to offensive coordinator, then that to me would signal that they're going away from this 3 yards in a cloud of dust formula that Vrabel has really embraced over the.
Yeah, and Mike's not one to show his hand, which I think is a good trait of his. But he's going to have to in this hire, to me. I just believe, I think Bieniemy's interest would be to get out of under the wing of Reed and thinking it's really his. He's doing it. I don't think he gets credit for it if he is or he isn't. I don't know. But Andy Reid is the one getting the credit, and I've never seen Andy not be running that ship in that way. In all of his different hires, he's always run the offense. I can't believe that he's not. But if Bieniemy is doing that, Terry, and he hadn't been able to get head jobs, and I think he thinks that's one of the reasons why, maybe he's wanting to get out and show and be on his own and show his worth. That might be the reason he might be interested in this. And I think if he went and told Andy that, Andy's a good enough guy, he'd let him do it. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind about that. So it isn't as far-fetched to me. I'm just really anxious to see if this is really the route Mike's headed. And he just sees that it's man, you got to do everything exactly right when you play their style. You just got such a small margin for error because the game is condensed, the scores are condensed, and one mistake here or there can cost you the game. And a lot of these teams that are winning right now are the wide open style and scoring a lot of points, Terry, which gives you opportunity to make up if you get behind or, whatever. His style is not the norm in the NFL anymore. Mike's isn't. It used to be. It was the Green Bay Packers style. It's what they did. But now that's not the style. And I'm anxious to see if Mike, because Mike knows this next window for him is big. It's big for him, and I'm just anxious to see the decisions he makes with this.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, because, for the longest of time, on the college level, Nick Saban was winning games different from everybody else. Nick, he didn't embrace the RPOs or even the Steve Spurrier style of wide open offense that the Gators played back in the day and that so many other teams have imitated over the years. He was a ground and pound type of guy. Let your running back control it, have a game manager at quarterback, win that thing 17-13. But, a few years ago, once Tua got there and, he had guys running around on the outside like Waddle and some of these other guys that they had that were so good at wide receiver, he changed his philosophy. He brought in Lane Kiffin to call the plays, for crying out loud. So if Nick Saban, who's on top of the college world, can make that type of change, I think it's incumbent that a guy like Mike Vrabel, who certainly adheres to those philosophies, can evolve as well. What do you think, Watson?
I 100% agree, and I think Mike's a sharp guy, Terry. And he's sitting there looking at, how am I going to take the next step here? How do we take the next step as a Titans football team? And I think he's very confident in his feelings on the defensive side of the ball. But I think I'm really anxious to see, do I want to keep the philosophy in the building, or do I need some new blood here? And so I can't wait to see how this goes down. And when you get beat by that style, it gets your attention. Deshaun Watson got Coach Saban's attention when they started doing it and winning and passing him, and immediately he fixed it, and he's never gone back, Terry. He has not gone back. He knows that you've got to score points, and so he has embraced it. The last question I have, and George, throw it back to y'all, is I don't see Rand coming in here and not having control. I don't see it. He's in a great organization. He's hot. He's going to have other people. The 49ers aren't headed down anytime soon, Terry. For him to take this job, I think he's got to have a lot of control and to work with Mike. But I think that he's not going to answer to anybody but the boss when it comes to a decision on personnel or on who makes what kind of money or whatever. Do you feel that way? I just can't see him coming here if he didn't have that.
Yeah, to a certain degree, I see that. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out because, Mike Vrabel, obviously having survived, and outlived John Robinson within the organization is certainly in line to call a few more shots if he has to in terms of roster control and things like that. But I don't think Ran Carthan is coming in here. Like you said, I don't think he's coming in here to be a pawn. He's coming in here to do the job that he was hired to do. And in the article that Amy Adams Strunk gave to Teresa Walker with the Associated Press in outlining the firing of John Robinson, she said that she believes that being the head coach is a full-time job and being the general manager is a different full-time job. So that in and of itself tells me that Ran Carthan is, while he might not have exactly the same, it's not going to be here and here. It may be like here and here.
Yeah, but throw it back to you, George. To me, he's at his age, it's his time. He's putting his signature on this now. I just think he's going to have most of the control. I think Mike will be there. I think Mike was there with Robinson. I think more than people think, Mike Vrabel was right there beside John Robinson. And I just see this guy coming in and we all need to pull for him because I'm telling you, the Titans are on that bubble to go up or go down. They're sitting right there in that hot spot. And when coaches and GMs get in that spot, they need to make it happen. So we'll see how it goes, George.
Michael, what do you got for Terry?
Terry, just talk to me a little bit about Carthan. And if you were to go out 2-3 months from now, even maybe after the draft, and going to have a very short report card for how Carthan has performed early on, the moves that you want to see, what are some things? I know we talked about speed a little bit, but specifically even with the roster, I know that Tannehill and Henry are coming up on some expiring contracts here in the next year or two. And I would love to get your input on if there's a report card for how you're grading Carthan's early moves. What are you looking for to kind of grade that?
Is he's got to come in and get the salary cap situation under control, not only to get them under the cap because they're 23 million or something in that general vicinity over the cap going into 2023. So he's got to fix that. And that can really only be done a couple of ways. You either got to release people or you got to restructure people. So it'll be interesting to see, who he moves on from. And there's some easy candidates such as Taylor Lewan, Zach Cunningham, Robert Woods, Bud Dupree. Those four come to mind. Then the second thing is you've got to figure out what you're doing at the quarterback position. Are you good with Ryan Tannehill? Do you feel like a healthy Ryan Tannehill can continue to move you in the direction you want to go? And if so, do you feel like you need to extend his contract for a couple of years just to get some cap relief? And then beyond that, it's the obvious stuff. You've got to fix the offensive line. And I think that has to be done in a combination of free agency and the draft. You've got to get faster and more explosive at wide receiver. And then on the defensive side, the core is good, but you've got to have better depth so that you're not signing guys off the street on a Monday and putting them in there to play on a Sunday after they've been with you for 6 days trying to figure out what to do. And there are holes everywhere that have to be filled. The secondary depth, that inside linebacker, another pass rusher, all those things have to be done. And you also have to decide, as we saw with Josh Dobbs when he came in here, you got to decide on who is your backup quarterback and how ready is that guy to play if he has to go in, because I don't think Malik Willis was anywhere near ready to play, and you saw how much better Josh Dobbs looked. So Ran Carthan needs to get this situation where no matter who his starter is, whether it's Ryan Tannehill, whether it's a draft pick, whether it's, somebody he brings in from the outside like Jimmy Garoppolo, who he's got familiarity with, he's got to decide on not only a 1, but also a 2 and then a 3.
Yeah, just one more for you real quick, if we've got time, George. But, just thinking about everything, of course, San Francisco is really a model team for how to be built. But then you hear about, possibly Eric Bieniemy from the Chiefs maybe coming in and a philosophical difference there. I mean, you look at the Chiefs and the Titans from an offensive standpoint, probably couldn't be two more different areas. And what you just talked about with doesn't matter who's at quarterback coming in and playing, it sounds a little bit like you're describing, honestly, what the 49ers have been going through. I mean, whether it's Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, Jimmy Garoppolo, having a roster that is conducive to any quarterback. Do you feel like even if they bring in Bieniemy from the Chiefs or whoever they bring in, I mean, do you think the Niners is probably the closest that the Titans can become? Or that's the model for them? Because, becoming like the Chiefs on offense is a completely different really philosophy and system and identity. Do you feel like Carthan's going to really not just come in from a Niners perspective, but honestly try to build a roster in that way as well?
I think that's probably the easiest and best formula to try to emulate. Now, granted, the 49ers they've developed a lot of talent. They've drafted well. They've signed good free agents over the last 3 or 4 years. But I do think that model is easier to emulate when you don't have a true super athlete franchise quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow at the quarterback position. They've shown that they can win with Jimmy Garoppolo. They've shown they're winning with Brock Purdy, who was the last pick in the draft. So that tells me that while the quarterback position is the most important one on the field, if Ryan Tannehill is going to be their guy for 2023, and I kind of lean toward thinking that he will be, then they've got to assemble the pieces around him to make him the best he can be. And I think that, over time, even if you bring in an Eric Bieniemy or a Matt Nagy to be your offensive coordinator, you can evolve. It's an ever-evolving league and an ever-evolving roster. You can evolve more in that direction as you get the personnel to fit that. But in terms of right now, I agree with you. I think the 49er model is probably closer to what they should be looking at as opposed to the more wide open like the Chiefs or the Bills.
Terry, great stuff as always. Appreciate you coming on with us.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
Terry McCormick, Main Street Media, joining us. After the break, we'll sort of gather around the campfire give you a few of our own opinions. Stick around.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd. The goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to get your seats today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. And we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
I know it's getting colder. You're not thinking about golf. However, if you're planning an event for next year, let me suggest golf through Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. It's perfect for hosting a corporate or a charitable outing. They've got everything in place to make your event a rousing success. To get more info, call 615-847-5074 or go online to riversidegolflinks.com. Jody Jones has as nice a dental facility as you'll find anywhere. Let's go in and take a look. Are you in the market for a new dentist? Maybe you're new to Nashville? Well, the place to go is Jody Jones Dentistry at 55 Music Square East, and their new facility is absolutely state-of-the-art. Jody mixes quality with comfort for the perfect dental experience. He's trusted for his creative design and committed to both the function and aesthetics of your smile. Jody is simply the total package. Don't wait. Make an appointment now at 615-259-5100. Late word out of Boston that the Red Sox have signed former Atlanta Brave outfielder Adam Duvall to a one-year, $7 million deal. Some of you may know Adam lives here. He's a good guy. And I would not be shocked if he goes to Boston with that short porch at Fenway and kills it. Absolutely kills it. This may be a great signing for the Red Sox. Anyway, on to the campfire.
Not baseball season yet.
No. Give it 10 weeks from today.
You wish it was 10 days.
I do wish it was 10 days. So, Watson, is it an easy rumor to make up to say, don't be surprised if Jimmy Garoppolo ends up in a mix of discussables with the Titans?
That'd be rumor. I think the first thing that has to happen is you have to decide on who your quarterback is. So, if it's going to be Ryan, then that decision can be made pretty quick. If it's not, look out. They've got to move, because the one thing you make a big mistake on, in my opinion, being an offensive guy 46 years, you better do what your quarterback can do. If you try to run an offense that your quarterback can't run, it don't fit him, you're going to be in trouble. I've seen it on all levels. And so that, I think, is the first big decision. You can't go anywhere offensively till you make that decision.
Okay, let me ask you this, though, Watson. Given what they run and given what Tannehill does, isn't Garoppolo, can't you make an argument as far as skill level, they're really close?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can't disagree with that. I mean, I think their skill levels are a lot different when they're both healthy. Jimmy is not a move around guy. Ryan Tannehill makes a lot of plays with his feet. You can do a lot more in the running game with Ryan Tannehill than you can Jimmy Garoppolo. When they let the ball go, there's some similarities and stuff that way. But the other one that I'd keep my eye on in the rumor is Trey Lance. I mean, if Brock Purdy were to make a run and go to the Super Bowl and keep playing well, that's a lot of money in that guy, and he's not going to be a backup. The minute that San Francisco thinks Brock Purdy is their starter, I think he's also going to be on the chopping block and could be traded. And to say the least, this young man that's come in as our GM will know Trey Lance well because he's the one that drafted him as the 3rd pick overall, right? 2 years ago? I think I'm right about that. So I wouldn't just throw his name out of the mix either.
Watson, say they bring Lance in. What does that mean for Malik Willis?
I don't think Malik Willis right now, in my opinion, Billy's not on the radar. He's fighting to beat out Josh Dobbs at this point and to be able to stay on this roster and not be on the practice squad. I don't think Malik Willis will be in the thought process right now. The highest thought process with Malik is going to be put him out there in the spring and summer and let him try to beat whoever's here to be the backup on this team, Billy. That would be my opinion on that.
Now this may be the dumbest question I've ever put out there, but you've got this league that a year ago was based out of Birmingham, this USFL thing. And I don't know if this is legal or not, but if you're the Titans and you at all believe in Malik Willis, don't you try to ship him to one of those things?
I don't think that's legal.
Not legal?
I don't think they can. I think you'd have to drop him off your roster. I don't think they can sign one off your roster.
It's not like sending somebody down to the minors, right? It's not like that. You can't just – he's still not your player.
Oh, it's worse.
It is. We've been to a game.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they can legally do that. I think they have to drop him off the roster is what I was saying. If you drop him off the roster, somebody will pick him up. He would never make it to that. So I don't think that would be a viable answer. And you got the XFL coming even before the USFL comes back this spring. XFL, I think, starts the week after the Super Bowl.
I know I'm excited.
Yeah, I know. I can tell.
Wow.
Why don't they try to merge somehow?
They will in time. I think they will in time. The NFL needs a minor league system, in my opinion. Yeah. They need it. They don't have it. I wouldn't doubt that end up happening with these leagues at some point, but I don't think it's anytime soon.
I mean, what do you guys think is I'm throwing around Tannehill and Garoppolo and Lance. I mean, does one guy, I mean, maybe Lance, we really don't know, but between Garoppolo and Tannehill, you talked about this a little bit, George, but does one give an advantage over the other? I know they have a different skill set, but when you're talking about wins and losses, are you substantially better or worse?
Well, let me start here. Watson and I may have a difference of opinion on this. And if you're watching this live, you need to value Watson's opinion a hell of a lot more than mine. I think Trey Lance, off of what I have seen, and it's really limited, not a very accurate thrower.
I couldn't agree or disagree. I hadn't seen him enough yet. I just have not seen him play to make an opinion on him. I thought he was a winner and made a whole lot of plays coming out of college. But a lot of them do that. A whole lot of them do that, and then are not just good pro guys. And so I really don't have an answer to that. But guys, first thing they got to settle is quarterback. And I'm not totally sold as strong as Terry that it's going to be Ryan. That's a lot of money that they've got to eat up by keeping Ryan here. And I would like to feel this GM will have a lot of say in that. I can't see a man taking a job when there's a question mark at quarterback and he isn't getting to come in and have a lot of say-so in that decision. Now, maybe the question mark was already settled and they told him Ryan's going to be our guy. You need to accept that if you come here. I just don't know if it's that point, guys. I'm telling you, that's one everybody's kind of forgot about it a little bit now. And it's still in the back of my brain to see. I think the coordinator will have something to do with that. Ryan Tannehill is not the guy that runs some form of a Kansas City Chief offense.
No.
That's not him at all. Yeah. And so I'm telling you, everything's going to work off of what they're doing at quarterback.
We're going to spend a little more time later on this KC Chiefs stuff, because to me, this sounds like a round peg in a square hole. Don't have anywhere near the personnel to run Kansas City Chief kind of stuff. I mean, who you going to run at your wide receiver?
Me.
I don't know. Matt Nagy, when Nagy got the Bears job, he didn't run the Chief stuff near as much. He did not. And I just wonder if that's not the really one he's interested in, is more Matt Nagy than it is Bieniemy.
Okay, after the break, stat of the day, no question Watson and I are going to bring excellence to that.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean we're going to bring the right answer. But we're going to bring something. And then Mark McGee's going to bring something as we talk Predator hockey. They're in a 2-game winning streak, and they've got a stretch of games coming up that are huge. Please stay with us.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you. Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports. And then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general: baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised. And, of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
Welcome back into the George Plaster Show. Final segment of this first hour. We've got Mark McGee coming up, talk about the Preds and see if they can find a way to get a big win tomorrow night in St. Louis. But first, stat of the day. It's brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee, 204 East Depot Street. They're open Tuesday through Friday, noon to 5. Also Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. You can give them a call at 931-492-4304. That's 931-492-4304. All right, let's see what Michael's got for us today for Stat of the Day. And the standard of excellence continues. Which NFL franchise has the record for the longest streak of consecutive games as the favorite in a playoff game?
Okay, Watson, let's start with just you and I speculating. I don't think the Chiefs have been an underdog in a good while. Would you buy that?
Yeah. Does this mean the ones that are still in the playoffs now? Or is this?
It didn't have to be. It's just who has got the record all time in the Super Bowl era for most consecutive playoff games is the favorite.
Well, it's going to be in the recent times, George, because this is playoffs. Like the Packers, all that time back in those days, there weren't playoffs. So it's going to be on up. And if it means they don't have to be in the playoffs right now, gracious. 49ers would be one I'd say through the years, but it's consecutive, isn't it? Consecutive.
They were not a favorite when they went to Green Bay a year ago.
No, they weren't. You're right, and they won.
So that eliminates them. KC, and I know I'm kind of stumping for KC, is, Buffalo. I'm trying to think all the Buffalo games that mattered have been Arrowhead.
How do you not have the Patriots in that talk?
That's a great point.
My gracious. How many of those? Brady didn't miss but 1 year in the playoffs.
That's a really good point.
This is a hard one because, it could be over a year and a half where, over 4 or 5 years, and then all of a sudden you disappear again and you're not any good. But over that 4 or 5 years, you were the favorite. So it might not be one of the better franchises or something, George.
You want to go Patriots?
This one's hard to me. I don't really. The one I would think the quickest would be Patriots, and it's probably not it.
Yeah, let's just see.
Probably not it. You might be right with Kansas City because here in recent years, were they favored in the Super Bowl against the Bucs?
That's the one I can't remember.
I got a feeling they weren't because Tampa was playing at home.
All right, now hold on. I don't want any 50% credit. It's either the Patriots or the Chiefs. I want to hear what the answer is. We
haven't answered it yet, Michael.
How long have you been here?
Listen,
how long have you been here?
I just know you could have gone Patriots and Chiefs.
How long have you been here?
We don't do that.
Stat of the day since the show's existed.
You know what? Watson and I are season ticket holders.
You pump the brakes right there, Michael.
Yeah, we're going to do whatever the hell we want to do.
Well, you throw out franchise. Well, we mentioned them, so that's excellence. If we're talking excellence, I want the right answer.
Who does Michael think he is?
I don't know, but I'm telling you, there's a memo coming out tomorrow. Watson, you want to go New England?
Yeah, because I got a feeling the Chiefs were not the favorite in that Bucs
Super Bowl in Tampa.
Yeah,
let's go New England. Oh,
it's a coin flip.
Put that one on me, buddy.
That is so bitter. Oh, okay. So, did we show a standard of excellence, Watson, for the consolation prize? We did.
Yeah. We get a cup of coffee or something for it, I guess.
Yeah. Let's say hello to the mayor of Shelbyville, Tennessee. That would be one Mark McGee, who joins us with his new season ticket sweater.
Predator Gold.
Man.
I have a lot of gold sweaters. I'm sorry. I have several yellow ones. I think I've got 3.
So it's not just one.
No, I've got 3 of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been John English's quite a few times. Saturday's a great time to go. So he'll sit there and talk with you forever. So it's a good time to hear a lot of good stories.
Yeah.
And so from that standpoint, yeah, it's an impressive place. I do call it the museum. That's what I call it. So.
Oh, it's an incredible place.
Yeah.
Listen,
I bought a couple of things from him, but he doesn't really care if he sells or not. I don't think sometimes he likes it. It's a place to show everything off.
So Guy, I want to start. Let's just show people the standings right now in the West, because this 2-game winning streak has all of a sudden got the Predators a little bit closer. So they're sitting there in the 8 and 9 hole, 3 points behind the 8 Calgary, but then big bad Colorado and a St. Louis team that they've had a lot of trouble with in the last few years are 10 and 11. Guy, where do you think they are right now?
Well, I think they're fighting for that 8th spot right now. Calgary's been up and down. Edmonton's gotten a player or two back right now, so I think they're going to be much better down the stretch here. Their goaltending is still a question mark for them. I don't know if they're cinched to be in the top 8 right at this time. Seattle went on a tear. They won 7 games on the road. And so they're sitting there in 4th right now. So yeah, I think that they're shooting for the 8th spot. I think that's the 8th or 7th at the most. But Minnesota's sitting there at 54. I mean, it's not unreachable. But I think they're hopefully going to get to the 8th spot if they're going to make that. But right now, I've said that's the best chance they've got. You just pretty much take Vancouver out of the picture. Vancouver doesn't have much of a chance at all of getting in. And so getting in the mix. St. Louis has been up and down, a bit on the uptick right now. Colorado is finally putting things together right now. I mean, whoever thought they'd be down behind the Predators even by 1 point, but they're kind of putting things together right now too. So here's to see what kind of uptick they have in the next few games.
Yeah, so, Guy, I'll say this real quick on Vancouver. I had to make the graph even with 6 on the left and 6 on the right.
I just was tossed out my viewpoint. I wasn't criticizing you.
I know.
Go ahead and criticize. It's a lot more fun.
Well, Vancouver is one of those also rans. Vancouver's hoping for a nice pick in the first round of the high in the first round of the draft in Nashville this summer. So,
Guy, what we're getting right now, the consistent piece of the Predators is their inconsistency.
I was going to say inconsistency is the thing, whether they play offensively or defensively or what with their win and loss situation. They lose 3, they win 2. Maybe they win more than that now in a row. Hopefully they beat St. Louis tomorrow night. I'd love to be at that game tomorrow night, and then the Kings on Saturday, and they have the Jets coming in next week. So, like you said earlier, there's some big games ahead of them, and some games that could help them in the point situation quite a bit.
Watson, say hello to Guy.
Gee, it's just we come on every week and we just keep saying the same thing, and I don't know enough about it to know what was finally going to make it go in the right direction or the wrong direction, because every week we're sitting here. They've been about 500 that week, and it's like they went on this road trip and they win 3, then they lose 3. I mean, about the time you say, well, maybe we've made the jump. And honestly, the thing that I'm kind of throwing 2 questions in one at you here. The thing that scares me to death is our goalies have been playing really good, and yet we're just 500 ball. If we were to have a little slump at goalie, Lord knows there's no telling what might happen to us.
Lycan, of course, wins last night against Columbus, but Columbus has the 2nd worst record in the NHL.
Yeah, I know, but we won. We won.
Only beat them 2-1. I was kind of shocked. Now, the Calgary game I thought was a pretty complete game, but as George and I were talking earlier today on the phone, they get ahead and they seem just to say, okay, we're ahead, we're going to cruise for a while, and that doesn't help a whole lot as far as intensity goes. Their intensity in the 3rd period against Calgary and against Columbus both was not that strong. And you're kind of sensing it also with the crowd. I mean, the crowds are not into it like they used to be. I mean, it's just not the same atmosphere. All these teams talk about how tough it is to come play in Nashville. I don't know that's that tough lately. I don't know. It seems like that. A lot of the cheers that are kind of standard just don't seem to have a lot of enthusiasm to them right now.
I go back to what my second piece of that was and go back to it for you again, because I sit here and I see such parallels between the Preds and the Titans. Unbelievable parallels. Preds get right there. I mean, right there. And then since that time, it's just kind of leveled off, and it went down a little, then leveled off, and it stayed in the same. The Titans right there. And now here they are, and now they're at a break-even point when the season's over. Which way do we go? Looks to me like the Preds are headed to the same thing. They're going to get through the season. If they get in, it doesn't look like they're going to go very far. If they don't get, they're going to be right there, just like the Titans were, exact same spot. And then when this season's over, I think they're going to look at each other and go, where do we go? What do we do here? Do we fix a piece here or there? Or is it time? Is it time to go after it and change this thing? Do you see what I see, or am I a little bit crazy?
Right. Now they you have a couple of players, young players, who really give them some hope. Juuso Parssinen, who has really done well. He had with the goal he scored against Calgary, he had seven points in 7 games, which equals what Philip Forsberg did as a rookie. That's a pretty good name to be considered with. Parsons a big guy, really physical, but he's got a lot of skill. Cody Glass has moved up to center. Duchesne and the first line. He's the first. So he's moved up a little bit. So he doesn't score a lot of goals, but he distributes the puck well. He's a playmaker for other players, and he's a smart player. Also, he's extremely fast. He's between Forsberg and Duchesne. I kind of had a mental block there between Forsberg and Duchesne. So and he's distributing the puck to them pretty well. Duchesne's way behind what his career high was last year. Taron Janot's way behind his career high last year from a goal scoring standpoint. And we shouldn't have expected them to duplicate what they did last season. I mean, we hope they get closer to what they've been. We couldn't expect that. So offensively, you're hoping these new guys like Parssinen, that came up on the 12th of November and immediately made an impact on the team. I think he scored his first 3 games. And he's been a great addition for them as a young player, 7th-round draft pick. So he's really shown well. Glass is also, he's shown speed and skills that a lot of players are not showing on that team. So the offense is inconsistent. Like George was saying, it's inconsistent. The offense has been inconsistent. The only thing that's been consistent is UC Saros and Kevin Lankinen. They both have been playing pretty strong. Lankinen, of course, played Columbus last night. Not a powerful team to play against, but he had a nice game. So it's going to be interesting to see. Tomorrow night's game is huge. It's like a 4-point game almost, and then the Kings game is also almost equally as huge. And Winnipeg is a really big one. I mean, they got some really tough games ahead of them next 3 games.
Last thing, quick question.
Sure.
If you predict right now, do you think we get in or not?
8.
You think we get in as 8?
Yeah, I think it'll be the 8th. I mean, I think it'll be 8th. I mean, like it has been. Can they get past the first round? They haven't been past the first round since 2018. They get past the first round? Who knows? But I think a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people are going to be, a lot of fans are going to be all that excited about the fact that they'll make the last playoff spot unless they do show that they can advance past that first round. I think a lot of people, this is a huge, huge draft this year. It's a deep draft, and a lot of the Montreal's already, fans are hoping that I think they'll lose. They didn't lose against the Predators, but I think they've had a huge set of injuries since the Predators game, and so a lot of fans up there are hoping they'll lose. And Blackhawks are right there at the bottom. Columbus is right there at the bottom. One of those teams, well, more than one of those teams, they're going to get some great players along the way from this draft. A couple of them are generational type players from the way they play. So they're really showing in junior hockey. But so I don't know whether the Predators look at that. David Poole is really good about knowing which drafts are good and bad way ahead of time. So I know he's been planning for this draft, not because it's in Nashville. I know he's been planning for this draft for a while, probably, to see what is available. And I would think that this is one where they can make an impact. Last time I was in Nashville, they got Ryan Suter, Kevin Klein, and Shea Weber in the first 2 rounds. They can equal something like that again this year. That would be really nice.
George, question for you. I've got 2. The first one just being, George really introduced me into hockey and really enjoy watching and can see, obviously, okay, if we score a goal, offense needs to get a little bit better if we only score 1 a game. Or if we let up 5, defense needs to get a little bit better. But help me understand, what do you look for when you watch the Predators that might go a little bit past just an average fan? You don't have to get into just total X's and O's, but what do you watch for when you really decide? Because sometimes I know the Predators can play really well and the puck just not going to the net and vice versa. And so when you're watching the Predators at night and evaluating what you see and if they're playing well, what are you looking for that might be a little bit deeper than just somebody watching guys skate around trying to shoot?
I watch how they play in the neutral zone. How are they controlling that? Are they keeping the other team out of the Predators zone? Are they advancing with the forecheck into their zone? Are they distributing the puck well? Those are things I look for. Also, and this is something that keeps on plaguing them, is penalties. I mean, they make some stupid penalties, and it really almost killed them against Calgary the other night because they had to start out with a 5-on-3, and then Calgary had a penalty, so it was 4-on-3, and they wind up looked like it was going to be a tying goal, and it was ruled that the puck was kicked in, and so that the Predators hang on to win 2-1. But that was a pure luck situation from that standpoint. Luckily, the referee saw that. But I'm looking for what happens. I look at the neutral zone, what's happening there. I look at what's happening away from the person with the puck. How are they maneuvering, that type of thing. That's one thing that makes hockey so hard to look at on TV, because it's always concentrated on who's got the puck. Actually, with hockey, it's a lot of stuff is happening away from the guy that's got the puck. The Predators also, they just need to take shots. And that's been a complaint I've had for years. It goes back to several other coaches as well. They seem reluctant to take a shot. They'll pass the puck. They seem reluctant to take shots, and they've got to. You don't score unless you put the puck on the goal, and so they've got to do that more. But yeah, I look at the neutral zone, how that's being controlled. I thought they did a great job for the first couple of periods against Calgary. But then Calgary still, I think, I shot them 21-5 maybe in the third period the other night, and so you can't have that happen in the third period against better teams. That's for sure.
Yeah. Last question, Guy. Talk to me a little bit about Matthias Ekholm. I see his name getting thrown out there for trade rumors a lot. What is that all about, and why is his name the one that keeps coming up in trade rumors?
I think that David Poyle has made it known that Ekholm could be moved for the right players, and you could get a pretty nice combination. You're probably get an established player, maybe a draft pick or two, high draft pick or two for him from that standpoint. So I think that's the big thing with him. There are other players' names that have been mentioned, but Ekholm's the one that keeps on constantly being mentioned overall. And I don't know. He's a good, solid player, and so I think that a lot of people are looking for a type of player like Ekholm is, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But David Poyle's reluctant to trade players during the season, so I don't know whether he makes a move at the trade deadline or not. He doesn't like to do that. So usually when he makes trades, he makes them after the season's over with. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I guess a lot of it will be based on where this team is closer to deadline time.
Guy, appreciate it as always. Great weekly visit with you. And let's see what happens tomorrow night in St. Louis.
Against the Blues. Yeah, let's see what goes on there. So good luck to them. So.
Mark McGee joining us here on the show. After the break, we're going to gather around that campfire again. The topic of discussion, Lamar Jackson. Is he or is he not staying in Baltimore? Stay tuned.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is simple. I chose Hermitage Strike and Spare. They were amazing. Great food, great bowling, and a staff that's ready to go the extra mile. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5665.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Okay, it's gather around the campfire time, and the topic at hand is that guy, Lamar Jackson. Let me just throw out there up front, I am really confused. Teammates come out after the loss in Cincinnati, and they tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, this guy has been hurt. He has worked hard to get himself back. And there's no doubt about it. Then you've got John Harbaugh, pretty media savvy guy, the son of a football coach, Jack Harbaugh, formerly of Western Kentucky. And the stuff, the vibe that he's been putting out there in the last couple of weeks is sort of a, don't ask me. Hell, I don't know. I have no idea when he's going to practice. I have no idea. There's been sort of this weird vibe that Harbaugh wants to say to you, oh, he's not hurt. This is all about contract. So, Watson, let me start with you. Why do you think Harbaugh went down that road? Because then his players totally went the other way.
I didn't take it that way when he went down that road, because I've said exactly that on many players before. Many. Come in the press, walk in the press on Monday, then you have your second one in college on Thursday. And I've walked in and said, you're asking the wrong dude. I can't tell you if he's playing or not. It's out of my hands. So I didn't take it that way when he said that.
But I will say this. He could have diffused some things in the last couple of weeks.
I don't know. You make that call. As a coach, you just don't go out there and take things on. You just don't do it. You just let it be. You don't jump out and take a side, and then you come back the next day and you say something different. You want it just to go away. You don't even want to go to those press conferences anyway.
Yeah, but this isn't going away.
You go because you have to.
Right.
And I went to him for 32 years as a head coach. I went because I had to. I didn't want to go out and sit there and talk to them dudes. I had more things on my mind than the press. And so I'm not saying you're not right at all. I just didn't myself take it that way. The other thing I want to say, George, posterior cruciate is a non-surgical injury, and it is long. It does not get well quickly. It is a slow healing It is worse than an MCL. A grade 4 MCL is about 6 weeks. A posterior cruciate's every bit of that if you really hurt it good. So it's a non-surgical deal. Time is the healer to it. And I think he's hurt. Now, on top of that, and you probably cut me off if you want to go to this later, but on top of that, he don't have a contract. So, I mean, the kid sitting there saying, I'm hurt. I can go out there and play at 60%. I don't know that I can play any better than the guy that's going to play at 60% because my legs are a big piece of what I do. And I could blow everything just like Robert Griffin III did. Yep. This is exactly what Robert Griffin III did. Yep. He went back out with the old Redskins, the Commanders, before he was ready and shredded it and ended his career. So how is that fair? Yep. And so this is a tough situation. And I want to go back to the contract. I don't want to go too far, but it's a tough situation that, in my opinion, the Ravens and Lamar caused. They caused it by not settling this before the season. And now you get to a spot like they are, all this stuff comes up because of the contract. If he had signed a contract and he was playing, I don't think this would have come up. He's hurt. He's hurt. He can't play. But now with him holding out because he's, wanting to sign a better deal and doesn't want to re-hurt himself or something, it don't look good. I don't know that it's fair to him. I sure don't think it's fair to Coach Harbaugh, but I think it was caused by both Lamar and the organization.
Yeah, Watson, just on that, Robert Griffin actually tweeted out, I don't even know if you saw it, coming out defending Lamar Jackson, basically saying, listen, this altered my career, coming out and trying to play that game.
I didn't know that, but it did.
Yeah, I mean, it totally altered my career. It altered any contracts I was going to get. But the contract stuff is really interesting. I guess, Watson, you were wanting to go there, and I had a couple questions about it and just interesting points. And, I think the X factor in all this is Russell Wilson. And the reason why, as I was looking today, it seemed like the offer that the Ravens gave from a monetary standpoint was just as good as just about everybody else, but it was the guaranteed money that was the point of dispute. And I think Russell Wilson kind of changed the game when he came to Denver, because, I mean, I don't know exactly how much that money is guaranteed, but it is a lot of it. And,
okay, but I think you're on the wrong quarterback.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't Russell Wilson.
No,
who was it?
I'm saying it's Deshaun Watson.
That's who it was.
That's what I was going to say. It's Deshaun Watson that got the guaranteed contract.
That's right.
It wasn't Russell Wilson.
And so there's this belief around the NFL. Bisciotti, the owner of the Ravens, is, according to some people, under a lot of pressure not to cave like Cleveland did. The owners are pissed that Cleveland allowed this thing to get where it got with Deshaun Watson. Okay, now Lamar Jackson is saying, well, if Watson got it, I'm getting it.
Right.
And there's this belief that inside the league that Bisciotti is getting a lot of pressure from owners saying, don't you dare go down this road again and screw all of us over.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah.
Well,
I mixed up the two, but you're exactly right. And it's just interesting because now who's not going to want that contract? Who's not going to want every penny of that guaranteed?
But where Deshaun's wrong in holding out for that is he's a running quarterback.
Right.
You're not going to give these 10, 12 carry a game guys guaranteed money, guys. Yeah. And he ought. That's where an agent, I think, Michael, would have helped him. Mm-hmm. He would have said, look, now you're asking for something and you're asking it. He missed 5 games last year.
Yep.
And he's missed 6 games this year. To me, he went way too far with a guarantee. And that's where I think he messed up. Yep. Because they're not going to give. Deshaun Watson is not a running quarterback like Lamar Jackson is. They're two different styles. Deshaun can run, but he doesn't do that. And so much of Lamar's game is that, Michael. The Ravens can't do that.
You're not
They
calling
can't
design
give him
runs
5 or 6 years guaranteed money with his injury possibilities just on his carries. That's why you don't see running backs get those kind of contracts.
Right.
Because they do have to carry it a bunch of times. And so where I think Deshaun is, where Lamar messed this whole thing up is this going so far with the guarantee piece. Yeah, I get it. Deshaun got it. So we all now, we're all on that page. It's like Nick Saban's contract says, anybody that's paid above what I'm making, then I get a raise. Can you believe that being a contract? Well, it was. I don't know that it is anymore, but it was. I think that's the way the position guys feel. If a receiver got that, then all receivers would say, well, this is the way it's going to be. But Deshaun is going with damaged goods asking for that.
Right.
And he's going with high liability asking for that because of the way he plays on Sundays. So that's what I wanted to talk about, George. He's going to have to back all that. If he goes free agency, he's not going to get that in free agency, guys.
Nope.
He's not going to get all kinds of great guaranteed money. It's not going to happen.
Yep.
Well, let me ask this question of both of you, because my suspicion is Lamar's sitting back there saying, this is a quarterback league. I'm one of the better ones. I am going to hit a jackpot, even if Baltimore isn't the one to do it. But then isn't there also the flip side of teams saying, yeah, he's really good, but to sign him, we would have to change everything it is we do. So what really is the story? If he walks from Baltimore, is he inundated with offers, or does he end up in a situation where a bunch of those teams say, you're good, but we're not going to be that radical about it?
I don't think he goes top of the line on the block. No, but I still think he'll have 1-2 teams that'll go after him hard. I do. I can't name those teams, but I think that's just the nature of the beast, the league. He's been a really good player, and he's gotten a whole lot better at passing the football. You go back and watch this young man 3 years ago, even 3 years ago, maybe even 2 years ago to the last couple of years. Wow. Somebody really worked with him and improved him. No, George, I agree. I don't think he'd be everybody after him dude, but I still think he'd have 1 or 2 go after him hard, but not in guaranteed money. Not in guaranteed money.
It's
not going to happen.
I think the injury changes all this to me, because I think if he doesn't get injured and then, teams start going after him, take the injury out. Let's say he had never been injured. If you're another team looking for a franchise quarterback, you're absolutely changing everything that you're willing to do to get a guy like Lamar Jackson. But now when you add in the layering factors of he wants all this guaranteed money and he's got an injury that is really serious especially for a running quarterback, I think that knocks probably 5 or 6 teams off the line that would be interested. I still think there's going to be 1 or 2 that are desperate. But Watson, you touched on it. It's going to end up probably being a lose-lose for both sides, the Ravens and Lamar, because the Ravens probably aren't going to be able to get him, and then they're going to be out without a quarterback. And I just don't see Lamar getting the money that he is wanting.
He may get the money. He's not going to get the guaranteed money.
Right.
That's what the difference is going to be. I think he'll get top-line quarterback money. Whoever takes him will pay him. But he's not going to get the guaranteed money. And I do think you don't have to go as far as the Ravens have gone to run the style that he does, because a lot of teams are using some of that stuff in their offenses anyway now. And I do think he's become a better passer to where a team would say, we don't have to go that far with him. If he hadn't thrown the ball a lot better, Michael and George, in the last couple of years, I'm not sure that's the case. But I think he's thrown it well enough now to where they can say, we can use pieces of this. We can add some pieces to what we do, but he can make the throws too now that we know he can make those throws. So he's going to be okay, but he's not going to get what he wants. Right. He's not going to get it.
So let's each sort of put a team out there. I know one that I believe, Jets, jumps at him and they tell Zach, listen, have a nice day.
Yeah.
Who do you all think is the team?
I've got two.
Okay, let's hear them.
I've got two. I think it's the Jets. I would agree with that one. And I think it's the Falcons. Falcons need a quarterback. And Arthur has worked with some of that kind of stuff before with Mariota. And I think it's the Falcons. I think it's the Jets and Falcons. That's my two.
Yeah, I would have said the Jets. I'm trying to picture another team. I like the Falcons. That's I'm stay the same division. The Saints need a quarterback. I don't think Andy Dalton's the answer there. I don't think Jameis Winston's the answer there. Go along with Alvin Kamara maybe. But I think the Jets, that seems like the team because they've got a pretty good roster. I mean, if you look, they got a pretty good team, and quarterback is the missing piece. And it's for them to have to decide, listen, are we willing to risk, this knee? Are we willing to put our money where our mouth is and really make things happen? And, I think the Jets have been bad for long enough that I think they might be.
I'd love to see him in New York. Lamar will say anything. I mean, anything. So I'd love to see him in New York just to see how that plays out. Because we might have some really good quotes come out of there.
Back page of the tabloids.
Oh, boy.
A backfield with Breece Hall and Lamar Jackson sounds pretty formidable. And they got a good defense. Saleh's figured out the defensive side for the most part. They could be – that's the type of team that you start saying, oh, I don't want to play them. They got a great defense, can run the ball well. That's an interesting component there in the AFC. It just loads up the AFC even more, honestly.
How good do we think Lamar really is as a quarterback? Obviously, we know he's not he's a run first quarterback. He can throw the football, but he can't. How can he put a team on his back and lead them to the Super Bowl?
I think he can. I do. I think if he stays healthy, but they got to back off all this run. They got to back off. Whoever takes him cannot have him carrying it 12, 15 times a game. He's got to cut it down to 7 or 8. And I've seen him in the last few years make throws I never thought I'd ever see him make. I'll be honest. I didn't think
coming out of Louisville.
I didn't think he could get to where he is. I'll tell you that right now. So start comparing him to other guys that are out there. Throw out Rodgers and Brady. That to me is older guys over here. You're going to go for it for a year and go or not. But if you're really trying to build your team for the future, I put him there with any of the guys that are out there.
Golly. Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Mahomes.
Look
Josh
at them.
Allen, Joe
No,
Burrow.
I'm talking about the ones that are out there now to take. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the ones that are out there right now in free agency.
Sure.
You put him up
what
against
I'm trying
the
to
ones
say is,
that are out there.
What I'm saying is that's all just AFC quarterbacks. If Lamar Jackson goes to the NFC, he might be one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best in the NFC. He's right up there. But you're talking about an AFC playoff with those 6 quarterbacks. That is murderer's row.
No. Send him to Arizona and punt Kyler Murray.
And honestly, I think Mike Vrabel sees that. That's why I wonder what he's up to offensively.
Yeah,
he knows if he's going to get to a Super Bowl, he's got to go through all those dudes. He's going to have to start scoring points, and he knows it. I've got to start scoring more points. That's a guess on my part. But I think that's why I can't wait to see what he does, because I think he's very sharp. I think in the back of his mind says, we've gone about as far as we can go with this. We're going to have to start scoring points.
Yep.
You got to go and get one of those dudes.
Or change your style with Tannehill. One of the two.
Watson, guess what's coming up next?
Yep, it's that time, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And you won last night, so you're feeling froggy.
Oh, I'm feeling very good.
Yeah, you're feeling froggy. Patting your chest. And
little winning streak.
Yeah, little. Yeah, very little.
Still work to be done.
Oh,
there's meat on the bone.
Yeah, there's a lot of meat left out there.
Yeah, there's work. There's a lot of lumber to get through, and we intend to get ourselves another W tonight. You need to stick around because I am in fuego.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you. Jody Jones has as nice a dental facility as you'll find anywhere. Let's go in and take a look. Are you in the market for a new dentist? Maybe you're new to Nashville? Well, the place to go is Jody Jones Dentistry at 55 Music Square East, and their new facility is absolutely state-of-the-art. Jody mixes quality with comfort for the perfect dental experience. He's trusted for his creative design and committed to both the function and aesthetics of your smile. Jody is simply the total package. Don't wait. Make an appointment now at 615-259-5100.
Welcome back into the George Plaster Show. It's now time for Plaster's Bet of the Day. It's brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. They are lawyers that you can trust. Give them a call at 615-242-9000. That's 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. All right, let's check out what happened last night. Watson touched on it there right before the break. Tennessee, they got it done, George, and they covered. So you were
Most importantly,
that's really the important thing.
So some of you are out there saying, George, it's a 2-game winning streak. The fact that you're all a flutter and,
Up in
talking
arms.
smack, that's pathetic. You're right, it is. It's a tough business trying to do this. So, Watson, we go for 3 in a row tonight. And I bet I'm going to surprise you a little bit with this one. You ready?
Let's see it.
Show me. I'm taking Missouri at home against the Hogs.
MIZ.
Yes.
Can you finish it?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
ZOU.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping you'd finish it off, George.
No.
He just wants him to cover. He doesn't care about anything else there. That's true.
They're going to show him.
I mean, Missouri could win by 1 tomorrow, and they're just a bunch of frauds.
1.5. That's a tough line, George.
Watson, do I hear sort of a lack of confidence in this play?
That wouldn't have been the one I'd picked. Arkansas is so wild right now, but they're kind of Kentucky at this point. They're everybody's on their case, and it'd be interesting to see if they rally the troops and change that. I guess I would have stayed away from that one, but let me up front say, when you're wanting to, my credibility as a bettor would be 0. So I don't really have any grounds other than it's just a blast to be able to get on you sometimes. I really don't have the credibility to do it, but I love every minute of it.
I am hanging as tough as I can hang. This is bet number 207.
I would have already passed out by now. 207 bets.
It's a lot.
So how much money through 207 bets, and you're 2 above 500, right?
2 below.
I mean, 2 below. Yeah, 2 below 500. So would you have made money or would you have lost money through all this? What would you, in a base way, what do you think? Because I'm not a gambler at all.
Bankruptcy.
This would have been bankruptcy
right now.
We're several chapters in at this point. I don't know if it's chapter 9 or chapter 11, but that's where that'll
we
get.
Headed to the bank, borrowing a little cash.
we're at the point though where we're too far in to stop. It's one of those where you just keep surging ahead. You know, you either get out of the hole or it's a life of.
Here's the thing, Watson. In if you go to let's just say in theory you go out to Vegas. Okay, you have 102 wins, and let's just say they're all for $100. Okay. And you have 104 losses, and you've put up $100 on those. Well, on all of those losses out in Vegas, you lose 110. That's where they get their 10%. You get screwed.
I get it now. You had to explain that to me because I didn't understand that.
Yeah, so. Thus it's either chapter 9 or chapter 11.
So that's that. That's why at the end of every betting commercial I'm seeing, and I'm seeing them everywhere now, if you have a problem, this is the number to call.
Plaster bet of the day is next.
I think about you every time I see one of those at the end of the commercials.
Hey, let me tell people a little bit of what's coming tomorrow. We got a great show for you. First of all, when we get on the air at 2:20, College Basketball Insiders, Ron Bargatze and Lee Fowler. Ron Bargatze is going to go through his list of the 15 best college basketball players to ever come out of Nashville. I'll give you a hint. Brandon Miller will be on that list.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
And a perfect guy to do that.
Yeah.
Because he's seen them all.
Yeah. He saw even before the game was created.
Couldn't get a better guy to do that than Ron.
The peach baskets?
Peach baskets and center jump after every made bucket. Watson, what was that like?
Don't get on him with him not even here. That's not fair.
No, it isn't.
He calls me rookie, so you know he's old.
Then former Titans coach Jeff Fisher will join us. I tried to ignore that. He'll talk to us about Ran Carthan, who he once worked with the St. Louis Rams, the greatest show on turf. Watson, I know you'll want to root on Missouri tonight.
I'm pulling for you, George. It's just when you don't win, I love to get on you, but I pull for you.
I know you do.
I really do pull for you.
Right. Michael, I don't think you pull for me.
I just need to stay in my timeout corner. That's what it sounds like.
Right. How long have you been on the show?
This would be a week today.
Uh-huh. And already you were trying to
turn.
You really did earlier today. We can't have that.
I've not behaved well.
Billy, you take that as a lesson. Don't you dare speak out of turn.
I've been here longer than a week, though, George.
That's true. Okay, we'll do this again tomorrow. We got a great show coming for the entire crew. See you tomorrow.